Chief Meteorologist Tom Coomes here in studio with Meteorologist Dave Caulfield. We are starting our extended coverage tonight to give you that extra first warning. This is a very dangerous situation, a storm that is producing a tornado and baseball-size hail. If you live in La Crosse, down towards San Pierre and into Pulaski County around Medearyville, you need to pay attention especially. But this is a dangerous situation and an evolving situation. We talked about phase one would be single or possibly a few discrete cells. That is what's happening now. A widespread threat comes later, but we're tracking now and expecting warnings to be extended into our area. This is a dangerous storm, currently near the Roselawn area running along Indiana 10, but San Pierre, especially Medearyville, San Pierre, Wanata, La Crosse. You are paying attention very closely if you're in those areas and if you live along 421 between Medearyville and Wanata. This is a dangerous situation. On the south end of this storm is the tornado threat, a spotted large tornado already highlighted as a considerable, particularly dangerous situation. On the north side, likely large hail. That's where we have this purple showing up. You see that large spot of reflectivity. Reports of baseball-size hail, giving you as much warning as possible. If you can park some cars, get them inside, that will help. But again, this is damaging hail moving our way. La Crosse, San Pierre, Medearyville, along this line, but especially if you at this point live close to Indiana 10, even stretching towards Bass Lake. And I'll give a farther warning for even the Plymouth area. If this stays on track, this is just the beginning, folks, of a storm that has ample fuel to maintain strength. Numerous lightning strikes, over 200 with just this cell within the past 15 minutes. We expect to have extended coverage, and we're really just waiting for this warning to be extended into our area. It's tracking a little closer and closer. And again, we're keeping our eye on this. I'll do a distance tool here and really kind of where the heart of this storm is towards San Pierre. It's just 15 miles away, and it's moving at about 30 miles per hour. So within the next 15 minutes, I expect this warning to extend, but we're starting this warning now because we're trying to give people 15, 30 minutes of warning before things really get nasty. So things are going to be changing, but you can see the details on the warning. I'll kind of step off here just for a second. Considerable threat. Near the tornado, hail of 2 3/4 inch, baseball-sized hail on the north side of that. So again, 3-inch hail. Tornado has been observed in this area near that Roselawn area, and that's what we're focused in on. You can see this looks a little muddled here. I'm going to track back here, and this is still the Chicago radar. So we're in between radar sites right now, which can make it slightly difficult to spot because we're at our maximum distances between the two radar sites. But right now, crossing the Indiana 10 and I-65 area, moving towards the Keener area, and then Wheatfield and Walker. So again, as we move now into portions of northwest Indiana, Newton and Jasper County, a tornado is still spotted around this area. And so you can see the distance that we have, at least right here. You can see as we zoom down towards the Roselawn area, this is where the likely tornado is about to cross I-65 right there. So tracking a tornado that is likely on the ground and moving towards the east at about 35 miles per hour. We look at our storm track here. The storm track, as we move towards Plymouth, if it stays on this track right now, it would be in the Plymouth area close to 10 o'clock. If this storm speeds up a little bit, that time frame gets a little sooner. If it slows down a little bit, it gets a little bit later. But we're going to be watching this very closely. As I mentioned, meteorologist Dave Caulfield is in studio with me with more information as well. And Dave, you have something to share.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention how unique this storm is, Tom. And typically we get some tornadoes here, we get some hail here, but to have this strength of a potential tornado and this big of hail is extremely unique. And one other thing I want to add is now that the sun has gone down, spotting tornadoes at night is extremely difficult. And now that we don't have the benefit of daylight, it becomes even more dangerous that a potential large tornado is on the ground. This has been cited numerous times, and as it continues to move, it's cycling a little bit now as it moves through Roselawn and heading towards the DeMott area in portions just west of Michiana, but it's looking to potentially ride along Indiana 10 and near the River Valley there. But again, we usually talk about one or the other. It's either a little bit of hail or a tornado. This storm has both, and they're in different parts of this storm, and it's so big, even though it's only one storm, then it could affect a lot of different portions of Michiana in different ways. So that is something that we're taking very seriously with this storm. Obviously, the tornado warning is what we are focused on the most, but there has been extremely large hail with this, up to baseball size, even softball size earlier on in its lifespan. Hopefully, the benefit of darkness, we lose some of that energy, that instability that these storms have to use to strengthen. Hopefully that will get our hail threat down. But at this point, there's still a lot of juice in the atmosphere to use to continue to not just produce a potential tornado, but also extremely large hail. And when we talk about a supercell thunderstorm, that is what we are tracking here. We call it that for a number of reasons, but it is the most common tornado producer, but these supercells can have extremely large hail, and we still have reports of at least the threat of up to 3-inch hail. It's the size of baseballs, folks. That will do serious damage to your property and can be a life-threatening situation if you're outside in these conditions. Tom?
Yeah, and this is all running up along a frontal boundary. So you see the path here. And it's not a coincidence. We've been kind of watching this as I'm going to actually show you temperatures right now because it's very interesting. Notice how there's a cold core back towards Chicago, and that storm is riding up right into some very warm air. And so this is all available to us. I've seen no updates, Dave, from the NWS right now, but he's drawing on this warm front as I step off, and you'll see this. That's like a train track to storms. And so we may eventually witness this storm take a turn towards the left or turn towards the north. This is where we're in a wishy-washy area. We don't know exactly how this is going to turn as it moves off towards the east. We're giving you a broad spread that we're first concerned about these areas, but I want everyone to know that everything is in play right now. And for a majority of the area, especially if you're in the 60s, this is a serious threat and more storms could eventually develop. Here's our current situation. Tornado watch for all of us at the moment, and there is the warning. This storm has not progressed close enough yet to prompt a warning, but I can tell you they are watching things very closely. We are getting ahead of this. This is why we were on air. Now, we're very concerned, not just because of a tornado threat, but a very large hail threat with this storm as well. Highlighted in the warning, again, this is a very threatening storm with large hail. We'll go for the latest update on this as we'll kind of zoom in here and get you the number of lightning strikes still at roughly 150 at the moment, and a good number of lightning strikes. The update on this still over 2-inch size hail. So we're splitting hairs here going between ping pong and baseball size hail, but it was enough to change the warning from that considerable threat, but it's getting closer and closer right now as we continue to focus in on this warning. I want to back this up just a little bit, and we'll focus in here as we'll zoom in just a little bit, and we'll get a little bit closer. So right in through here, you'll see as we look closely, the Wheatfield area running right along Indiana 10. That's a hail core right in there. So from Keener north of Indiana 10, this is getting closer and closer. This is the LaPorte County line, Starke County line, La Crosse, San Pierre, and points in between. You have large hail headed your way. The tornado, or possible tornado, within this area. Now, this picture looks a little more promising at the moment, at least right now, as far as being a little less severe as far as a tornado threat goes. But let's look at a closer look at that velocity. And we're still seeing that red and green look there. So while the radar imagery looked a little different, velocity still looks very nasty. You have red and green right next to each other. The likely tornado that has still been spotted on the ground crossing the 231 corridor where 10 jogs. the jog of Indiana 10 heading towards Wheatfield and San Pierre. I don't like the distance, how close it is to San Pierre. Again, if you are in San Pierre, you're getting ready to head to your safe spot. We're waiting for an extension of this warning, but again, this is the area of greatest concern, at least at this time. I'm going to switch back over to a distance tool. And again, the distance here, if this stays on this track, the likely tornado is 12 miles currently from San Pierre. So let me track this out just a little bit more again. 12 to 13 miles is the distance of, here's the tornado. If it's still on the ground, it's right here. It then crosses Indiana 49, and then next up is 421 as we look towards San Pierre, North Judson. This looks to be staying just north of Madairyville, but if you are in La Crosse, San Pierre, North Judson, and towards points northward and towards the east, you should be paying very close attention. This is the current setup. Again, observed tornado warning in that box. They're waiting to upgrade or extend this warning based on the progression of this storm, but we're watching this extremely closely right now. Again, as we focus in on this storm at the moment, still getting close or starting to edge just a little bit closer, so we're between radar sites, which is probably the one part that's the limiting factor here. If we had a closer radar, it's tough to see. I'm just kind of dancing between two radar sites. And so we're at a far enough distance that the flashlight just isn't quite bright enough to illuminate what they're trying to look at. And so now that we're edging into the darkness, it gets a little more difficult as well. But this is the area, the Wheatfield area would be the path of the tornado, and then moving towards San Pierre. So this is the rough timeline as we look at this right now, as we look towards San Pierre, as we look towards the rest of our area, and again, watching all this very closely. And what I want to do next is take a storm slice, where we'll kind of look
Did they do a new warning there?
Looks like they may have extended it out. It's right up to the county line. So that's the latest update. That'll be the last. Oh, new severe thunderstorm warning now just issued. Now just issued for our most western counties. And again, this is a serious warning. The tornado warning extended up until the Starke County line. And then we have those severe thunderstorm warnings that are in place as well. Obviously, right now, the warnings that take precedence are going to be the tornado warnings. But if I take these off, and I'll give you an update on this. This is the latest update. New severe thunderstorm warning, considerable, tornado possible, which will likely get extended, as we have wind up to 60 miles per hour with the storm. Large hail. Large hail is
up to 2.5 inches.
So
at
again,
this point.
that's getting towards the ping pong size hail stage, or larger, not quite baseball, but we're splitting hairs here, folks. This is a very dangerous storm. In fact, got a good view here as well, and we will look at the brand new Marshall County REMC camera, and you're looking in the distance. You're going to see a lot of lightning. That is that storm right there as it continues to move towards us. So it's a great day for us to have this camera up, I can tell you that, because it's giving us the views that we need. I'm telling you that this is really happening. This is a serious storm that is impending on our area. So watching this closely, we have the extension of our warnings. The latest warning that has come in right here, again, a severe thunderstorm warning. None of Michiana is on a tornado warning just yet, but that is a warning for hail up to 2.5 inches. So we're approaching baseball size hail, and the eventual oncoming tornado threat that is nearing us as well. So we're watching all of this very, very closely. I'm going to kind of cycle through a few things as we'll move our view just over just a little bit and focus in right here on this area as we'll watch it extremely closely. Dave?
Yeah, another thing, we've said it before, but it bears repeating now that we have new warnings. It's so tough for meteorologists to sort of parse out the fine details in a situation like this, because that storm is so close to the two radar sites that we usually use here in Michiana, that being the Northern Indiana radar site and the Chicago radar site. And so right in between, if you look at that actual storm here, it will jump a little bit as we go between. There's the northern Indiana radar, and there is the Chicago radar to the west. And so the fine details are really important in a situation like this, especially because it's now after dark. So we can't necessarily see what that tornado or potential tornado is doing at this point. But here is what we know. So there's a lot of boxes on the screen if you're just joining us, potentially on Facebook Live as well. We are tracking a lot of severe weather threats that are moving into Michiana as we speak tonight. There's been a powerful tornado that crossed over the Illinois-Indiana line over the last hour or so, and the tornado part is not in Michiana just yet. The tornadic part not in Michiana just yet, but it is on the way. It is tracking to the east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. So if you are in the St. Pierre area, La Crosse, Madeiryville, anywhere along 421 in portions of Starke County and portions of southern LaPorte County, northern Pulaski County, it is time now to get to your safe spot, because not only are we tracking that potential tornado, but we're also tracking portions of the area for that large hail threat as well. So we're working to get that updated storm track at this point. Tom, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sorry, I had to cut in front there, giving you the latest information at this moment. As we look at that radar picture right now, getting word that the tornado is headed towards the Wheatfield area at this moment, and so that is where this is at. And so if we're looking towards St. Pierre and then just off into the distance towards the county line, again, St. Pierre around 8:05 p.m. St. Pierre 8:05 p.m. That's Central Time, so we're looking at Eastern Time, so top of the hour. I would expect by 9 o'clock we will have an active tornado warning in Michiana. We're getting ahead of this because, again, we are very concerned about the hail threat right now. The warning likely and is being extended out until this point as we watch this very closely, as that tornadic portion of the storm will be crossing Indiana 49. This is not impacting everyone. We know that. But again, this is a considerable observed tornado threat with hail up to right now, up to tennis ball size, and we've had a history of baseball size hail as well with this storm. But the projected area of rotation getting closer and closer to the Wheatfield area, Indiana 10 and Indiana 49. That cross section right there, likely tornado on the ground, funneling in reports from the National Weather Service in Chicago, which works over this domain and eventually into northern Indiana once we get closer to St. Pierre, Starke County, and LaPorte counties. So again, here we are. Here's the latest look at this. As this storm continues to move off towards the east, I'll update this storm track for you. And again, watching this very, very closely.
We now have some, now that Facebook Live is up, we have the ability to see your comments and questions. So if you are watching us on Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. You can post a comment in the chat, and we will try to get to it on the air. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions with all of the waiting that we've had to do today. Finally, the storms are at least close to Michiana. We have a few questions about areas that are farther to the east, like North Webster. At this point, not concerned about North Webster at the moment. Our concern is for LaPorte, Starke, and Pulaski counties, specifically right near the LaPorte-Starke County line.
This is a pretty big storm, I'll just say, because we've got the tornado threat and we've got the hail threat. So I'm going to kind of extend out this drawing because it's a kind of a wider look right now. And what we don't know is, will it kind of hook more east or will it trend towards the north a little bit? But I would say if you're anywhere, if we're trying to look out farther for folks, Wanata, Knox, Walkerton, Plymouth, even Lakeville and Bremen, you're possibly in the path of this storm, either from the tornado or large hail. So I'm extending this out because we could be on air for a while because of this one individual storm. Plymouth by 9:40, Bremen by 9:47, Napanee by 10:10. That's if it continues on its rough speed at the moment. And that is a variable that is known to change. Storms speed up, storms slow down. Storms turn left, storms turn right a little bit. These are the little wiggles that we'll watch along. But I'll say if you're anywhere in this path right now, you need to be aware. Hail is a likelihood, especially if you're on the northern half of this line, and then the tornado threat somewhere on the southern half, and we're getting very close to that threat, edging closer to Michiana. Right now, our hail threat is for up to tennis ball size hail. We're giving you the earliest warning we can. We got ahead of this. We've broken in the programming before the storm has even entered, the first warnings even entered, because this is a serious threat. As far as a hail threat, I don't think we've ever seen, at least in my experience, of a hail threat this high. And I'm afraid to say I'm not sure what the tornado threat here is as well. We know that it's likely a large tornado that has been spotted multiple times. And the gate's open, folks. All the fuel is here. As we've opened up the door, we have ample warm weather at this moment, and that's where these storms are feeding off of. We're still looking towards the southwest. This is the camera from the Marshall County RAMC, and you can see the sky starting to light up here with all that lightning. This is going to be a big light show, and this will likely be a very dynamic show that we see. Dave, you have a comment?
Yeah, it looks like we have a better scan right now of the northern Indiana velocity. It's coming more into range at this point, and it really looks to be that rotation maximized over the wheat field area. And just based on the look of this, it looks like this storm is trying to strengthen a little bit. And how do we know that as meteorologists? Well, we look at how bright these colors are. Red and green next to each other, that indicates that rotation. And over the last few scans, we've seen as this has crossed radars now we should get a better view of this. It's more in the range of that northern Indiana radar we were saying, so there's less of a data gap at this point. But right along Indiana 10, you see the bright green there, almost appears white just south of that Indiana 10 marker there as it makes its way into St. Pierre. That is an indication that that rotation...
Tornado warning just issued, Dave. Tornado warning just issued. I want to break in, bring up the wall, please. Take that full. And we want to get onto that because that is the new update. The tornado warning just issued for, this includes St. Pierre. If you're in St. Pierre, you're getting to your safe spot right now. This is a considerable threat. Tornado is on the ground. You need to get to your safe spot now if you're in St. Pierre. Again, we are not messing around in this situation now. So we're focusing in tornado on the ground. Watch NWS chat closely, Dave, as we're going to track this into St. Pierre. St. Pierre, get to your safe spot now. This is a dangerous situation. St. Pierre, Railroad, North Judson. St. Pierre, Railroad, North Judson, north of Radioville. Get to your safe spot now. This is headed in. This is a very strong signature, red and green, indicating a high velocity, a tornado on the ground running along Indiana 10. St. Pierre, Railroad, Radioville. Again, some of these are very small points here, but we're looking in between, pretty much just north of Meteorologist. There's Radioville, and then you can see right through here. This is the area we're focused on. This is going to cross the Starke County line by 9 o'clock. We're giving you as much warning as we can. That's 9 o'clock Eastern time. For those in Central time, St. Pierre, 8:06 or sooner. You do not have time to wait. Get inside, get to a basement now. This is a serious situation, a particularly dangerous situation with a tornado on the ground running along Indiana 10 right now. So north of Radioville, St. Pierre, Railroad, and then on the north side of this, we likely have hail that's moving in as well. We'll go back and I'll do a reset. We'll go back to our lightning view, and I'll show you right in through here. Again, hail core moving towards the north, so if you're closer to Wanata, the Wanata and La Crosse area, this is going to be a big hailer. A lot of hail coming towards La Crosse. Large hail likely, could be up to tennis ball or baseball size hail. But St. Pierre, get to your safe spot now. That tornado is inbound, running roughly along Indiana 10. And we see towards that wheat field area there, that's the area of greatest concern. We are watching very closely. Dave, make sure you're watching the Facebook live chat. And I want to switch over. We can kind of see still with both our velocity chains here, we're still seeing, again, very eye-catching as far as what the concern here is, as far as a very distinct nature as we kind of swing in between these two. I just want to take a quick pixel query. It's right in here and giving us an estimate of what could be some very high velocity in this area. Dave, you have an update.
Yeah, sirens going off in North Judson, which makes sense. It's right in that area that is included in the tornado warning. We'll have to see. Right now, it looks to me that their advance warning on this tornado for good reason. It's such a dangerous situation. We'll have to see if anything tries to develop on that early side of this. There might be something trying to develop out ahead of it, but at this point, that main couplet, that main area of rotation, still outside of Michiana, but the National Weather Service taking no chances with its history getting that warning out there. Tom?
And still observed on that warning. The warning is up, so there's been eyes on this, there's been spotters. It gets harder as we're now in darkness, which makes this so much dangerous. But if you are in San Pierre to North Judson, you're on standby. But you should be still watching but moving towards your basement. San Pierre, you should be in your basement. You should be in your safe spot. If you don't have a basement, interior room, you don't want any windows in that room if possible. Get in a bathtub. As many walls between you and the outside as possible. Dave?
Yeah, there's chatter on some of the, on our National Weather Service chat that there are some chasers with eyes on this in the Wheatfield area, and it is producing a tornado as we speak.
So that's right there at 10 and 49, right at that juncture right there. That is Wheatfield. That's where we're seeing this. And keep in mind, this is now an old radar image as of 8:55. We expect a jump in this imagery as we head towards 8:57. 8:58. That will be the area we continue to watch. Again, San Pierre Railroad as we move towards the North Judson area. This continues to be that real focal point of where we see that severe weather. Dave, you have another tidbit to share.
Our folks in the back just asking if we want to be live on the CW as well.
I would say let's go all networks right now. This is a dangerous situation. This is a dangerous situation that is currently ongoing. We'll go live on all our networks as we head towards 9 o'clock because this is a serious and ongoing threat. This is not to be taken lightly. In fact, I will kind of cycle back through here as we go to the top. Here are the extended warnings: a tornado warning, a particularly dangerous situation, confirmed tornado on the ground, tornado warning, moving towards San Pierre. That's where we are right now as we head towards the 9 o'clock hour, as this storm now runs into the warm sector of the storm, meaning it has fuel and it's not cut off. So it is continuing to strengthen. We are now live on two networks right now, CW25 and ABC 57. You are looking right now live from the Marshall County RAMC weather camera towards the southwest, where a dangerous thunderstorm producing hail up to tennis ball size, possibly baseball size, moving into LaPorte and Starke County, and a tornado that is on the ground and inbound towards the San Pierre area right now. Here is our threat. That is a dangerous situation. Now that that warning has turned purple, confirmed tornado on the ground and likely a large tornado on the ground. This is a serious, dangerous situation that is ongoing. On the north side of this, hail, large hail. This storm has a history of hail, and this is where we are right now. That hail core is right here on the north side. If you're in La Crosse, north of San Pierre, this is where the hail is. So La Crosse, and eventually this could even be a hailstorm headed towards the Hamlet, Coomes Lake, and Walkerton. On the south side, you see that gap in there. That is the approaching tornado. You can see a very distinct little ball right there. That is a tornado that is on the ground right now, and I want to zoom in to get that closer to scan. You can see a lot just within this radar view, at least right now. So tornado on the ground in Wheatfield. Dave mentioned via our NWS chat, spotters saying they see this. They see a tornado on the ground, and this is moving towards San Pierre. If you are in San Pierre, get to your safe spot now. If you know anyone that lives near San Pierre, call them now. This is a serious situation. They need to be inside in their safe spot. North Judson, you're next. This is getting closer to you. You're on standby. You should be waking up the kids, getting them around, telling them we've got to move to a safe spot now. Better to do it while you have time than down to the last second. This is not going to be something that you can watch easily. This is approaching you. This is night. Don't go out and looky-loo this. This is a very dangerous situation that is currently ongoing. Dave updating the storm track for you right here. You can see San Pierre, Railroad, and then on towards North Judson. North Judson by 8:19. That's Central Time. So we're just starting. The tornado has not entered Michiana just yet, and we've been on for 30 minutes, giving you that critical first warning of the impending danger that is currently ongoing. Dave.
Yeah, I just want to talk about this scan behind you, Tom, a little bit. When we talk about what constitutes a tornado, in our eyes here, as we might be getting a little bit of an update on this warning itself, but do you see how this is almost detached from the main storm?
Yeah,
over
take Dave over on camera one.
Yeah, so here's our supercell thunderstorm, and this is the tornado. It's a classic, what we call a debris ball signature. And the fact that it's almost detached from the actual storm is very concerning, because that indicates to people like Tom and myself that this is on the ground and it's its own thing. So a lot of times tornadoes move with its what we call parent thunderstorm, the thunderstorm that it's attached to. But once it becomes detached, the movement gets a little bit harder to predict. We can predict where the storm is headed, but when there's a bit of a detachment there, when that tornado is likely strengthening, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So just because you're not in this exact storm track here, if you are in this polygon, if you're in this pink box here, we're looking at portions of southern LaPorte County, the 421 corridor through Starke County into Pulaski County. I want you in your safe spot immediately. This is a life-threatening situation, and you could potentially be in danger within minutes, if not sooner than that. So that is the concerning part about this, and we're continuing to get new data in here. It's still in between radar sets, but that is of great concern to me. It's really not looking good at this point, Tom.
Yeah. Go back to the wall full for us, folks, and we're going to kind of change our graphics around for a moment or two, and I'll kind of cycle through, because people are asking on Facebook Live, obviously, about South Bend, Mishawaka, and Elkhart. And so I'm going to take this moment at least to try and cycle through, because we are soon going to be focused on San Pierre, Starke County, North Judson for a long period of time. Tornado is approaching San Pierre, likely less than 5 minutes right now, but I'm going to continue to cycle through. That is a very nasty image right there, folks. That is high velocity. Again, as this storm moves closer to the radar site, our flashlight can illuminate this better, that flashlight being the radar. And so this is a large tornado on the ground headed towards San Pierre. Get to your safe spot now. Get inside, away from windows, center room of your house, bathroom, in the bathtub. If you have a basement, get there now. There is no time to wait as it continues to track across, running along Indiana 10 right now. Large hail moving into the La Crosse area, and I'll go out a little bit wider here in a second. As again, we've opened the door into this warm sector as this storm continues to move. You see the lightning. This is in the distance of view from near the Plymouth area, 2 counties away, and this storm is lighting up the sky. All right, big picture time. Likely as we watch this storm, hail becomes a bigger threat across southern St. Joseph County, northern Marshall County into the future. We're talking as we head towards 10 o'clock tonight. But the threat is that very discrete tornado. So if you're watching in South Bend, if you're watching in Southwest Michigan, and watching in Elkhart right now, we're going to be focused in here pretty soon on one cell alone. But I want you to know we're still kind of watching things, and we'll be alert for the north side of this as far as running into hail and where this tornado moves. But our focus here as we head towards 9:05 is going to be on San Pierre. Right now, not expecting much. This is the one cell on the radar. There's a big batch, a whole nother round of storms that come after midnight. But for this time, we're focused on this storm. Tornado inbound to San Pierre right now. This is a dangerous situation. Number of lightning strikes. The only good news I have here is that the hail core and the number of lightning strikes has decreased. These are like taking the pulse, if you're a meteorologist, as we watch this storm. The tornado looks very strong. The hail and the lightning signature is a little less. Fingers crossed this is weakening. This is where we are right now. This is a observed tornado on the ground, considerable threat, with hail up to tennis ball size associated with this storm as we continue to focus in. Now this, again, could be that good news that we're seeing at least right here, folks. That good news that possibly this is starting to weaken just a little bit, as the velocity is not as bright as it was a moment ago. but we're moving in towards the San Pierre area, at least at this moment, as we move in towards San Pierre. This is the likely tornado about to cross the county line, about to move into Starke County. This is 9:04. Remember, this is a snapshot. We'll wait for the next radar update that will likely come at some point closer to 9:06 as we go towards this evening. I'm going to go down and we're going to really get down towards Street View here as we zoom in close. San Pierre, get to your safe spot now. Here's Indiana 10, here's 421 and the jog there. And again, we're continuing to kind of focus in on this area very, very closely. I'll have to back out just a little bit. Got a little wild there with some of our clicking, but again, watching this fairly closely right in through here as I want to get into some of the roads. So there's Railroad, there's San Pierre. There aren't a lot of roads in here, I will tell you that. So pretty much it's that jog right through San Pierre to Railroad. San Pierre to Railroad. This is roughly the path of that tornado that's on the ground. Railroad by 8:09 Central Time. This may be tracking just towards the north of San Pierre. Radar is not that exact when you get down to this level, folks. A likely tornado is somewhere within this area, which, again, could be fairly large. San Pierre to Railroad, it's about to take that jog along Indiana 10 to the north. The north side for eastbound Indiana 10 as you jog up from San Pierre north. If you live anywhere between San Pierre and Railroad, this is where the tornado is on the ground right now. Get to your safe spot. This is now 9:06. I do expect another radar update within any minute now. Roughly they run anywhere between 2 to 4 minutes apart as far as a rapid scan update right now. And so we're giving you the best information we can as this will likely make that jog. But if you're anywhere between San Pierre and the Railroad area, it'd be at Railroad by 8:09 Central Time. Our clock at the top is on Eastern Time, and that would be around 9:09. So if you're just tuning in with us right now, a tornado is on the ground. Reports of a large tornado on the ground near the San Pierre area. If you are in San Pierre, especially on the north side of San Pierre, between San Pierre and the Railroad community, again, these are very small spots in very small towns, this is the danger. So now we're seeing this, again, this is the next radar scan. This is here at 9:06. Still looking like we now have what could be tracking just towards the north here with rotation, but this could be very broad. This could be a very large tornado that we're, again, still starting to track in here. And again, let me just kind of draw on here. I'll draw kind of a picture as we go through here. This rotation could be fairly wide. Again, this could be a very large tornado as we look at right in through here. That could be the tornado. Dave.
Can I just pull up debris tracker correlation coefficient here?
You should be able to click. You should be able to click on it and just see if that puts out a good product.
Okay.
So right through there, that blue indicating likely debris. I'm going to have to step off for you so you can scan over towards that, Dave. But bring this up.
Right there, that blue just to the west of San Pierre is concerning to me.
So what we're talking about is once you see reds and pinks, that's all pretty consistent. Anything in this area is lofted debris. Anything that you see is blue, that is green, that is not raindrops, folks. That is trees, that is leaves, that is roof shingles, that is debris lofted into the atmosphere. And so that is the likely debris. So we're seeing many confirming and concerning signs moving into the San Pierre area right now with a debris ball likely trailing this.
Oh, no.
This is the new update. So now you see more blue. That is not a good thing. This tornado is hitting things, folks. This is hitting things at this moment. That is a tornado that is on the ground moving through San Pierre at the moment. So again, we are still very much focused as we look at the radar picture right through here. Again, continue to move on from San Pierre towards the North Judson area and on towards Bass Lake. So this is a tornado that is on the ground currently. As we go in, and we'll continue our focus here. Again, this is the velocity picture. Looks like it has moved just north. And Dave, we talked about this a couple times. I said it's going to follow the Kankakee River. Mm-hmm. And this was an hour ago, and multiple hours at 6 o'clock. That's the Kankakee River, folks. Right through here on the Starke LaPorte County line. This is where the front was. It is train is on the tracks, and it's not following the Kankakee River because it's the Kankakee River, but it's where we saw this boundary earlier, and here it is running right up along the Kankakee River. If you live anywhere close to the Kankakee, LaPorte County, Starke County, tornado on the ground right now in the St. Pierre area and continuing to track up towards the north. Dave, if you switch over to that debris ball, if you want to talk more about that, just do the quick click on that,
okay.
and we'll stay on this view, and you should be able to see a good picture of that. So I'll step off if you need to move that just a little bit and get a closer focus and right in there. But again, that area of blue is very, very concerning, and we'll go to Dave over on camera 1 and let him talk more about that.
Yeah,
Dave?
so what we're looking at here, there are a lot of different colors on our what we call our correlation coefficient. It's basically tracking things that aren't rain. If you see a lot of the reds and oranges, that's usually raindrops, or in winter's case, snowflakes. However, once you start getting things in the blue area, and heaven forbid, even darker shades than that, that is when we're seeing things that are not rain. And we're just continuing to see concerning amounts of blue heading into the 421 corridor in the St. Pierre area. This is likely indicating debris. Now, it's not a tight debris ball like we sometimes see, but it's almost more concerning because then it's a smaller area that is under the gun of that debris. This is a wide stretch of an area that could be dealing with lofted debris from a very large and very dangerous tornado. So this is an extremely concerning situation. And as Tom mentioned, the tornadoes, they don't follow rivers. They don't really follow our maps or polygons. They sort of do what they want. And we can see from this scan and from our other scans that this might be trying to make a lift more towards the northeast after traveling for so long, basically right along Indiana 10. This might be trying to move to the north and east, but the concerning colors there, those greens and those blues in the St. Pierre area, that could be an indication that debris is already in the air, and it's so wide that there could be a lot of it that's traveling towards 421. Tom, you have an update?
Yeah, we'll take our graphics full here in a second. I just want to list off a couple other towns. Hannah, Hamlet, Knox. We're kind of in this whole area as we'll kind of reset our graphics set here, and we'll kind of get ready as we kind of have to get everything ready to be on the move once again. But again, we are concerned about this is a dangerous situation, as Dave was talking about. This is a tornado that is on the ground. This is our current situation. This is the current radar map. As we focus in and we watch this area very closely, we're looking for anywhere up along the Kankakee River right now. And I'm going to kind of circle where we see this and where we kind of see this area of concern. So again, it's all through here. If you're in this area right now, would be my main area of concern at this time. This is some big hail in La Crosse running along Indiana 8. So hail along Indiana 8, the tornado threat is now north of Indiana 10 and running along the Kankakee River. Luckily, that is not a very populated area, but this is wide open. But if you're anywhere in here, and this includes Knox, Hamlet, Coomes Lake, and Walkerton. Coomes Lake and Walkerton, I just want you to make sure you're tuning in and hearing me, okay? You're not under a warning yet, but this is getting close enough that I'm telling you, stand by. Knox, stand by. Bass Lake, stand by, but right now, as Dave was talking about, this looks like it's trending north of Indiana 10. If you live along Indiana 8, so that's towards Knox, I want you paying attention. Coomes Lake and then possibly Plymouth as well. Number of lightning strikes is stable at 161. Again, I'm taking the pulse of this storm. Here is the hail core, extremely large hail on the north side of this storm. It is hailing likely tennis ball size hail in La Crosse and near that area just south of Wanata. That's that area, and the likely tornado on the ground somewhere near St. Pierre. Considerable observed tornado, hail up to 2.5 inches, which is tennis ball size hail. Now we're focused in here as we kind of look more closely as the St. Pierre area. That's that area of rotation. This is the Kankakee River right up through here, and that's where it's starting to look again more closely. Dave, click on the magic track for me, and I'm going to kind of continue to watch this closely. But again, La Crosse, Saint Pierre, that area, red and green, that is a classic tornado vortex signature. We have shown you a debris ball. We've shown you radar imagery that shows that debris is lofted into the atmosphere. That is a confirmation that, again, of what we're seeing is a tornado on the ground. Eerie photo now, there's the sky lighting up, and we can kind of see kind of that wedge nature in the atmosphere of a large anvil of this storm. And you kind of see a very dark overshadow when there's another lightning strike. This is the RMC camera. That is that storm. I don't know the exact orientation, but it's looking very closely towards that storm. This is our current situation right now. Tornado watch, severe thunderstorm warning on the exterior of this storm because it is producing extremely large hail. And then there's that center spike of that tornado warning as we go in for this closer scan, again, right in through here near Saint Pierre. That tornado likely just to the north of Saint Pierre, and we'll go in, and again, there aren't a lot of roads here because you don't build a lot of roads right along the Kankakee River, but you can see 900 West, the south portion of 900 West looks like the English Lake area. Wilders, again, these are very small crossroads and communities, folks, but if there's a tornado, it's running along the Kankakee, north of 400 West. There's 850 West or south 850 West. As we see these, again, east-west roads right through here, and looks like it's about to cross 421. If there is a tornado on the ground, it is right in this particular area. So we'll kind of scan forward here. And we'll look, there is what would likely be the tornado that is currently on the ground right now, crossing 421 at the Kankakee River. The only good thing I can think of right now is that most people don't live exactly on the Kankakee River. This is marshland, and so the population through here is low. That's a good thing, but we're seeing what could be broad circulation, could even be multiple targets at this point as we kind of see some rotation back in here. Sometimes tornadoes go through different cycles, and this is an area of concern. But if you're near English Lake right now, we've just seen a new jump in the radar imagery, but this continues to run up the Kankakee. So if you live along the Kankakee River, you should be taking this very seriously. So as we move towards the Hamlet area.
If La Crosse is not in shelter already, you need to get to shelter now. This thing is lifting to the north more than it is east over the last few
So there's La
scans.
Crosse right there, and especially if you live just east of La Crosse, but this continues, as Dave said, it's lifting north between English Lake. And so remember, the Kankakee River is also the LaPorte-Starke County line between Starke County and LaPorte County. So if you're anywhere along Indiana 8, and most likely here, it's going to be heading towards the Indiana 8 and Indiana 39 cross-section. Now that is wide open farmland, but there are a few homesteads out here along Indiana 8, and this is where that tornado is running, up the Kankakee River. 9:17. If you're joining us, we are on Facebook Live, we are on our website, we are on ABC 57, we are on CW 25, and we've been on for almost an hour for a large tornado on the ground, multiple observations. In fact, this has been a tornadic storm for over an hour, almost 2 hours, as we are now watching this now run its way up the Kankakee River. Dave, you have more on this.
Yeah, I just want to, if we could go back to just regular reflectivity, I want to talk about the evolution of this storm over the last few scans here. And we're going to try and clear as much of this as possible. If we can do a loop, that would be great. But we could talk about what we're seeing right now. You see how this box is more to the east? Well, we've noticed over the last few scans that this is actually getting more of a northerly component. And again, I mentioned this before, it bears repeating. Just because you're not in this exact box doesn't mean that you're out of the woods, because tornadoes don't care what you draw on a map. They do what they want. They follow the signals in the atmosphere. They don't follow our maps. So over the last few scans, the polygon is this way, but this storm is clearly lifting to the north and east instead of just tracking east like it was throughout much of the evening. The other thing I want to show is right here. That is not where the tornado is, but over the last few scans, you see how this part of the storm has gotten a little bit of a notch in it. That's significant because that signals to us that it's trying to strengthen again, because right here, there's no rain or storms or anything inhibiting that warm air that's out there because of that warm front. There's nothing that's stopping that tornado in this area, because what tornadoes do is they sort of ingest warm air. That is their fuel, that is their food. And right now, the mouth is open, and that means that this thing is going to continue to strengthen, in my view, because it's now tapping into more of that warm air closer to the San Pierre area, and it's going to continue to lift right along the Kankakee to the north and continue to strengthen. Tom?
Yeah, and I just want you stay on the picture there. A lot of people are again asking about every other place in Michiana right now, and I'm telling you, for the next 30 minutes, this map view is what we're concerned with. And so if you are in Coons Lake, Walkerton, La Paz, North Liberty, Lakeville, you are paying attention now more closely. By that point, we cannot tell you with great confidence if it's going to make more of a left turn or a right turn, but we know within the next 30 minutes, this is our priority. So we've got a lot of people asking questions, but this is where we're focused.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I know whenever you see severe weather coverage that we're doing, you want to know exactly what's going to happen in your town. That is understandable. But at this point, if we're not focused on you, the storms will eventually get to you. But at this point, we're most concerned with portions of LaPorte and Starke counties at this point. Near Indiana 8, just north of Indiana 10 at this point. But really what's catching my eye, Tom, is that notch right there. And what I see is that this is continuing to strengthen, and sometimes notches like this are an indication of strength that is going to come that hasn't shown up in the radar just yet. And also it can sometimes sort of shift these storms to the north as they're getting that warm air ingested, because you have to think about this as sort of like a moving target or a top that's spinning, right? Because it's obviously a spinning system. So if you bump that top a little bit with warm air or your hand in the top's case, then it's going to move a little bit off of its current path. And that could be starting to happen in portions of very far southern LaPorte County south of La Crosse at this point. Tom?
Yeah, let's take the wall full again, and we'll kind of update our graphics and what our look here is and our point of view. As I mentioned, a lot of people starting to chime in and like, well, what about my place? What about my place? Again, we are telling you right now, it's roughly along this path as I kind of extend this out. Hamlet, 8:47 Central Time. Grovertown, 8:53. Walkerton, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. La Paz, Lakeville. You are watching this very closely along with us. This storm can lift a little more north, a little more south. All these possible trajectories, but we're giving you the best that we can here in this near future view. This will be the view that we're going to be most focused on. I'm going to kind of reset our look here as we'll get more focused on this storm. And again, this becomes more and more of a concern as we go over the next 15 minutes. It's going to move towards more populated areas. That is a definite hook echo textbook right there.
I really don't want to be right, but that's exactly what happened.
So this is running along Toto Road between Wilders and Toto, approaching the Indiana 8 and Indiana 39 intersection right now. And that's, if you live near Brems right now, this will be kind of where we're at. we're going to do kind of a reset from the top, and we'll get back to this view in here in just a second. This is the view from the Marshall County RAMC camera, so this is a view closer to Plymouth. This is lighting up the sky, folks. This is real. This is a large tornado on the ground. You need to be in your safe spot if you're in Starke, LaPorte County, northern Starke, southern LaPorte County along the Kankakee River. This is the highlight area. Again, for the majority of us, if you're in any yellow box here, that is a tornado watch. A watch means get ready. The orange box and the purple box is a warning. Take action. Follow the actions that we're telling you. This is not a storm that's taking up the entire map. This is a supercell thunderstorm running up the Kankakee River, producing large hail at this time, large hail and a tornado that is on the ground. Going back to this view, this is where the tornado is, running along West Toto Road, likely lifting just north of Indiana 39, and this will come up on the Indiana 8 intersection. So where 39 and 8 meet right here, I've been to that flashing light. There isn't much there. That's the good news. But I know there are some farms and homesteads around there. You need to get to your safe spot. We will likely see an adjustment of this warning. I'm going to let you know phones are going to start going off in St. Joseph County and Marshall County fairly soon, in portions of LaPorte County. If sirens are not already going, the majority of this warning is drawn across Starke and the southern tip of LaPorte County. But if you're anywhere closer, the largest two areas that are really next or getting eerily close to this, Walkerton and Coomes Lake. Walkerton, Coomes Lake, and Hamlet, you are kind of next. Here's the Brems area. Again, this is still pretty much open marsh, Kankakee River marsh, but this tornado is running up the Kankakee River right now. If you're anywhere close to Toto Road, between Toto Road and the Kankakee River in northern Starke County, get to your safe spot now. Inside, in a basement, interior room, no windows, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This is a considerable threat. When we talk about different types of tornado warnings, this is about as high as it gets. This is a dangerous situation. The only thing that makes this slightly less dangerous is it's going through wide open, not very populated. That starts to change if it's on its path. But again, if you're in the Grovertown area, you're eerily close in this view because this cell continues. There it is. There's the new tornado warning. So for Brems, this is still primarily Starke in southern LaPorte County. We have not seen this extend too far, at least at this point, into St. Joseph County, but I will tell you, Coomes Lake gets close to Walkerton. And so what could happen in this scenario, this is now 9:26, by 10 o'clock we could have tornado warnings going off and sirens going off in St. Joseph County, which is going to drive a lot of people very eerily, but it's because, remember, Walkerton's in St. Joseph County, and when the storm sirens go off, it goes off for the entire county, and we're getting close to that point. I'm letting you know what's likely to happen. But the storm right now is in through this area, at least at the moment. So then that's what we're seeing near the Brems area at this moment, and that's where we're seeing this storm at this moment, and we'll kind of move this around. This is one heck of a hail core on the north side of this. So near Brems, it is going to hail. This is the larger than ping pong, tennis ball to possibly baseball size hail. Then you're in this eerie gap, and then right along Toto Road, right through here, this is where there's a tornado that is on the ground. Lightning strikes at 1:45. I watch this, I'm taking a pulse of the storm, and I'm hoping, is this thing gonna weaken a little bit? But this is the radar picture through here, red and green, broad circulation enough, or scary enough, Dave, this could just be a very large tornado that's on the ground as well.
Can I try to look at a debris finder just to see?
Let me just circle it right through here. So let me circle this view right here. So we see through Toto Road right through here. If I'm based off velocity, it's right here. And then you can switch over, Dave. I'm going to keep my hand right there, and we'll kind of see how this adjusts. Looks like new severe thunderstorm warning is also being expanded as well.
And yeah, so this thing is heading, and that new warning sort of confirms this. This thing is heading east at 20 miles per hour. That's the latest information from the National Weather Service, and it looks like at this point there might be. Yeah, there might be some areas of debris showing up. It's a little bit more unclear than it was earlier on. That could be a good thing. That could just be sort of a data burp, if you will.
Also, open farmland doesn't pick up as much. There's not a lot.
That's a good point.
There's not a lot there to be lofted up into the atmosphere. So Dave's right with that. But again, all signs really pretty much point towards this is a dangerous situation that is currently ongoing. And this continues to be ongoing. We'll go back up to the top here and kind of run through what the new warnings are coming. And as we're getting, again, a view of this from the REMC camera. Towards the right side, the storm is likely going to be out of this camera's view soon because it's to this side, because it's moving north. This is looking more towards the south and west, and so this view is going to get less picturesque, and you're going to see, well, if I'm on the camera right now, I'm looking towards this. If I could see if it was on this tower looking that way, that's about as far as we could see in this camera view. But here is the updated warning. There's the expansion of the warning, severe thunderstorm warning, now including Walkerton. Walkerton, you are not under a tornado warning, but you're under a very large hail threat for ping pong up to tennis ball and possibly baseball size hail.
Getting reports of hail, I'm not sure the size yet, but definitely hail in the Brems area right now. Someone obviously taking this very seriously reported that to us.
Yeah, I'd rather have you just say you hear it, because I don't want you going outside to measure it at this point. It is not safe to be outside. But again, here's the Brems area. We're getting confirmation of hail here, and this is the likely tornado in this area as well. Dave, do me a click on the box again for me so I can move the map around. This is now crossing Indiana 39 at Toto Road and moving towards tornado, likely intersecting Indiana 8 and Indiana 39. There's not a lot there. There's I believe a sanctuary in through this area. This is mostly River Marsh. This is the only good thing we have in through this area, but if you're anywhere near Brems, and if you're a viewer that's been watching us on Facebook Live or on television near Brems, you're in your basement, you're in your safe spot now. Get to your safe spot now. This is a dangerous situation. This is about as dangerous as it gets as far as a tornado in this area. This is a large tornado with a history of being on the ground and causing damage. It's also night, so we're not getting as clear a picture as we typically would. But there is large hail falling near Brems, and as we continue to move along here, Grovertown, Coomes Lake is in that severe thunderstorm warning, and this is kind of where we're kind of focused after this. And I'm going to update the storm track just to kind of show you kind of our area of concern. It continues to run up towards the north and east, and so I'm going to give a holler out if you are Coomes Lake, Walkerton, La Paz, Tyner. So areas just north of Plymouth, but I expect right now we already have a severe thunderstorm warning for Marshall County, but the next update will likely put a tornado warning towards the Walkerton area. Tough to say, is it Walkerton north? Is it Walkerton south towards Tyner? These are the small little changes that we see with every radar scan that comes every 2 to 3 minutes. Tornado on the ground. Get to your safe spot. If you are in Hamlet, you're standing by. Right now, this is open area. If I were in Hamlet right now, you're not technically under a tornado warning. I don't care. I'm getting to my basement right now if I'm in Hamlet. If I'm in Grovertown, getting pretty close to there. If I'm in Walkerton and Coomes Lake, you're watching along with me, but you have woken up everybody at the house. You're looking at your neighbors. We're all watching this together, and we're going to get ready to move. We're going to get with the kids. We're going to get ready to move. If you are in a mobile home park right now and you're in Walkerton, you are going anywhere you can to get to a safe location, because we know that a mobile home is not a safe spot. So you are thinking, if you are in Walkerton, La Paz, if you're out towards Lakeville and you live in a modular home or a structure that is not well built, you're finding a safer location to get to. I'm giving you that first warning. Dave.
No, absolutely. Great job, Tom. We are getting reports of a debris signature right now on our velocity scan from the National Weather Service. This is 1 minute ago, so we should...
I can skip ahead to that and then get it right through there.
Oh,
so that's
no.
this. So we're now picking up something through here. So this is a tornado on the ground. I'm going to zoom into this. And Dave, after I zoom into this, you can talk a little bit more about it. As it's now crossing Indiana 8 and Indiana 39, and we'll kind of go right into this area here. Let me take this down, and I'll let you elaborate a little bit more. But
so right
here's
above
Toto Road and Indiana 39. Again, these are not well-populated areas, but that is a nasty signature on velocity, and that is a large tornado picking up debris.
Yeah,
Dave?
and that's likely heading towards the Knox area over the next 10 minutes or so, maybe even around 5 minutes as well. So right above Tom's head there, you see our scale. We obviously want the red and the green when we're talking about rotation. Anytime you're seeing yellow, over here, that is extremely strong wind that is being picked up by our radar. And now it's within range that we have a good sense of just how strong this is. It's been going through cycles over the last 20 to 30 minutes or so, and it's been tougher to see the debris. But as Tom mentioned, that could be because this is wide open farmland, most of this, and there's not a lot of debris to pick up. But this is an extremely concerning image because it's indicating how strong that rotation is. So velocity measures both wind that's going toward the radar and away from the radar. Latest scan is a little bit better, but again, sometimes individual scans can be a little bit misleading. But that last one that we just saw was extremely concerning, and now we're starting to see maybe a bit of a lift in that circulation closer to Indian Hill as it makes its way to the east and northeast. Are we seeing anything on National Weather Service chat that would indicate that this is still moving to the east, or is it trying to move to the northeast? To my eye, at least, it's trying to lift a little bit to the northeast, but the Toto area, safe spot right now if you're not there already. Knox, safe spot right now if you're not there already. And spots to the north as well as we make our way up US 35 there as we head into portions of LaPorte County. Those are the areas that are of most concern right now. Tom?
Yeah, take the wall full again. We'll update our storm track. Velocity tightening was the last message from the NWS chat. That is meteorologist to meteorologist saying that this storm is getting stronger right now. I've just relayed to our crews in the field. We have crews staging in Plymouth telling them to hold, but they could be moving towards the Knox area once this clears. But I do not want any of our crews on any move right now until this starts to move, and it's got to be a very delicate movement until they are clear. I want them safe and staged in Plymouth right now. But this is now crossing Indiana 39 and likely moving just to the north side of Knox. If you are in Knox, between Knox and Brems, get to your safe spot now. This is where I told you we knew that this storm is moving towards the east. The question was, is it northeast? Is it east-east? And this is where the storm sometimes jogs a little more east, then it jogs a little bit more north, and this is where it's a bit of a shaking situation right now. The tornado threat now looks to be crossing 39 just south of Indiana 8. There's the latest update right there. That is a very nasty look right there, as you can see, and we will update that towards and away. Again, once we start seeing the blue in here, I'll try and get a little, see if my finger can be exact enough. That's a gate-to-gate shear of 103. So that is telling you, again, that is a very strong rotation. Just as we got relays from the National Weather Service, this is getting stronger, number one. Or number two, now that it's getting closer to the radar, our flashlight can really see what's going on inside of the storm. And I would expect these colors to get brighter and brighter because we're getting closer to the radar site. This is a scary situation. This is a dangerous situation. If you are in Knox right now, get to your safe spot right now. I'm going to try and hammer down even closer here as we'll get into a slightly closer view and try and give you some roads. Again, this is just tracking to the north side of Knox. New expansion of the tornado warning. We'll get you an update on this. New expansion of the tornado warning. Again, we're going to get more sirens going off, moving into Marshall County.
Tornado emergency issued for the city of Knox at this point.
Tornado emergency in Knox. This is a serious, catastrophic situation. Again, this is to be taken seriously. Get to your safe spot now if you're in Knox. That's why they upgraded that warning. This is strong rotation. This is moving in here. This is not to be played with right now. This is an extremely dangerous situation trending north of Knox. We are hoping that it goes north of Knox, but this is, it doesn't matter where you are. This is Indiana 8. It's heading towards the Indiana 8 and 35 interchange right there. That eventually will take it now closer to US 30 eventually, but this is a very dangerous situation ongoing right now. If you are in Knox, we are giving you a warning that is less than 5 minutes. By 9:45, we will see a jump in these colors, but this is roughly the track that this is on right now. But I can't trust this track all that great because this thing is kind of bobbled north, bobbled south. If you're in Indian Hill, here is 250 north. Here is Toto Road, pretty much anywhere between Toto Road north to 250 north and US 35. This is where the tornado is on the ground right now. We just saw the new update that continues to come in here. And again, we're watching things very, very closely as this thing continues to move. If you're watching us right now, we are focused in like a laser on Starke County and the town of Knox, where a tornado warning for a catastrophic tornado emergency for the city of Knox right now, as a large tornado is bearing down Knox and areas just north towards the Indiana 8 and US 35 intersection there. Dave.
Yeah, just wanted to make it clear, in case you hadn't heard the term tornado emergency, that is the most serious tornado warning that the National Weather Service will issue. So this is an extremely dangerous situation, a life-threatening and catastrophic situation about to move into the Knox area. We hope that it will track just to the north of Knox, but we cannot be sure at this point. And what we're looking at, there's red, there's green, but it's right here where you see those mix of colors. That is likely that large tornado. And we've seen very recent chatter that that tornado is still on the ground, still being observed. And that is one of the reasons for tornado emergency. Tom?
Yeah, Dave, let's take graphics full again. We're going to focus back in on a debris ball. Again, the tornado is right, very visible right in through here. So that's with the velocity indicating very strong rotation there. And I'm going to switch over to, let's see if it shows up on the debris. We'll switch over to just regular CC, and we'll see there's that blue right. This is a very visual.
Very clear.
So I'm going to take this line out, and it looks roughly along that path right there. Tornado on the ground. So we're seeing it in different ways. We can look inside the storm. The red and the green, that's the movement back and forth, what we just saw you. This is now looking at droplets or particles in the air. If they were all one thing like we have here, this is heavy rain and hail, because it's saying, radar says, okay, all those objects look the same.
I'm going to circle it for them, Tom.
If we look right through there, that is a debris ball. That is the blue and green. That means that it has hit something. It is trees. It is pieces of a roof. It is pieces of a home. It could be lots of things, but that is the debris ball right there. There is a tornado on the ground. You do not need to go out and see this. You do not need verification. If you're in the town of Knox, this tornado is moving towards you. You are in your safe spot now. This is the top of a dangerous situation as we can have in Michiana. There is a large tornado on the ground headed towards Knox. US 35 and Indiana 8. That intersection right there, and this continues off towards the north and east. So eventually, again, I want you listening, Coomes Lake, the Coomes Lake and Tyner areas, I'm trying to give you a heads up. This can still jog north, south, or a little bit towards the east. We'll wait and see how that plays out. You can see the latest jump here. There still is a very broad look at that debris in through that area. So again, we continue to watch this fairly closely, and now this is continuing to move. This is the Knox area right now, and so we're still focused in. That tornado is just likely tracking to the north side of Knox around the Indiana 8 and US 35 interchange. But Knox, safe spot now. We're at 9:42. Tornado likely moves through, will likely move through Knox before 10 o'clock. So we're talking in the next 5 minutes, that tornado will move through, and that is our concern. So if you are in Knox, we're starting to get the latest updates right now. And as we start to see this, unfortunately, hit more populated areas, this will be more of a concern. The latest movement, check the movement on this, Dave. Is this east or northeast, and what's the speed on that latest warning?
Okay, so we are looking at a movement of east at 30 miles per hour, so it has picked up speed over the last few minutes.
And moving more towards the east than northeast. It was jogging north for a while, and now it seems to be kind of running along Indiana 8. We'll see. I'm just going to take it out, and I'm going to include Tyner, Groverton, and Donaldson. So I'm giving you a heads up. Grovertown, Donaldson, Tyner. You could be in the path of a tornado. Currently, the north side of Knox in the path of a large tornado on the ground right now. I'm trying to give you extended warning. Grovertown, Donaldson, and Tyner. Now, it's still possible this jogs a little north, jogs a little south. But if you are in the towns that I am naming off right now, you are headed towards your safe spot. This is getting too close for comfort at this time. And if you are in Knox, this tornado is about to move through. It looks like it's jogging just to the north side of Knox compared to the south side of Knox, crossing at that Indiana 8 and Indiana 10 interchange. All I can hope, and this is close to the Starke County Airport, that's what Brems pretty much is that is wide open through there. And I know the 8 and 35 interchange, there are fewer homes and fewer things there compared to if this is going right through Knox, and that it's still going to be kind of my area of concern. And our gate is open. Temperature in South Bend is almost 70. Oh, no. So this is going to be a long night, folks, as this storm, it is not fast moving and it's still likely to track. It has plenty of fuel to go north or south. There's nothing that's really steering this, and so that is going to be our big concern. Seeing a lot of lightning here on the REMC camera. The storm, if I could see it in this view, is in this direction. The camera can't turn anymore as far as we can tell. We're not in control of that camera, but this is the focus. So the Walkerton area, hail. But if you're in Tyner or Donaldson, you're preparing for that possible tornado as it edges closer and closer, and we will move in for this view right through here as we're back to the regular radar view, and you can see this kind of little notch and ball right through here. The tornado is trending just north of Knox. If you're in Grovertown, if you're in the Tyner area in Donaldson, I'm getting closer to my safe spot. Where is the hail? It is going to be hailing, big hail, in Coomes Lake very soon. That's likely soon to begin. It's very large hail along US 30 right now, US 30 and 35. That's where the hail is. And again, the tornado somewhere very close to either the center of Knox or the north side of Knox at this time. This is as dangerous as this gets. This is a tornado emergency for this area. The reason it's an emergency is because we have tripped the threshold of a tornado moving into a more populated area. The difference before this, there wasn't a lot of population along the Kankakee River. Now that it's close enough to Knox, if you're in Knox, you're staying inside. It is not safe to go outside if you're watching in Knox. This storm is moving through right now. Stay in your safe spot. Stay in your safe spot. This will likely be crossing 35 right now. By 10 o'clock, we'll likely see an extension of this warning towards the Grovertown area. And I'm just giving you a heads up towards Tyner, Twins Lake, Donaldson, and the Plymouth area, possibly trending just north of Plymouth, but it's too early to tell whether this will continue on more of an easterly track or trend up a little bit towards the north and closer to Tyner. So, Plymouth, you are not out of the woods, neither is Lakeville. Lakeville, I'm giving you an early warning. So, Coomes Lake, Tyner, on towards the Lakeville, excuse me, and the La Paz area. Everyone pretty much close to Indiana 6 in US 31 should now be paying close attention to this storm. As we've been updating you, here we are at 9:47. We've been talking a lot about a very specific area because there is one very specific storm that is currently ongoing with a tornado on the ground for Knox. If you're in South Bend, Mishawaka, and Elkhart, we're watching this storm to see if it will trend up towards the north, but at this point it's staying down towards your south. Looks like we have an update on that warning as it just starts to contract a little bit, but we're going to stay focused on this. Dave, once you have an update here, I'll let you take over for a few moments and we'll go on that. But again, this is the area we continue to watch. A tornado currently moving onto the north side of Knox, and you can see here moving north of Ober towards the Grovertown area will be my area of greatest concern as we go through the next 5 to 10 minutes towards 10 o'clock. If you're in Grovertown, this will likely stay north of Burr Oak, but you can see Tyner, Coomes Lake currently getting into the large hail.
Thank you very much, Tom. It looks like this warning goes for the next 10 minutes or so, so we'll see what the National Weather Service decides to do with the path of this. What I will say is, obviously, the Grovertown area is of great concern. I would say also the Hamlet area along US 30 might be in trouble as well. So if you're in the Hamlet area and you're not already in your safe spot, obviously some very big hail going on right over US 30 at the moment. That's that dark shade of fuchsia showing up there. That's a very large hail that continues to fall. But also the Hamlet area might be under the gun for that tornado threat, just based on our most recent radar scans and where this goes from here. Again, I mentioned it before, but it bears repeating. Tornadoes don't follow these boxes that we draw. We do our best, and the National Weather Service does their very best to tell exactly where this storm is going to go, this tornado is going to go, but they don't follow our rules. They do their own thing, and so that means that all the areas sort of surrounding this area of rotation and the confirmed tornado that is still on the ground need to take special care and get to your safe spot immediately, because this is a life-threatening situation at this point. It's not a possible tornado. This has continued to put a tornado on the ground and put your life in danger. So if you are in an area that is covered by this tornado warning, if you are not in your safe spot, do that immediately. Seconds count here, folks, in the potential to save your life. So we are watching this closely. I wonder when the next radar scan will come in, because it looks like the data has stopped a little bit. Okay, there is a bit of an update there. So we're still seeing this sort of appendage here. This would be where that tornado is at this point, just crossing US 35 north of Knox, and it continues to move to the east at last check at 30 miles per hour. But there's still some concern that this could jog to the north a little bit, as it has been over the last 20 minutes or so. Tom?
Yeah, I've been looking at some of the updated storm tracks here, and I want us to take graphics full again, because I'll do an update on that. What I'm seeing, at least as far as some of the computer guidance on this storm, is it is tracking a little bit towards the north. And so what I'm concerned with is definitely if you're in Tyner, Groverton and Tyner, this storm now looks like it's starting to edge a little bit more north than it is towards the east at this point. And so those are kind of our two hot spots. And so looks like, there we go. There's the extension of the tornado warning. And just as I said this, Groverton and Tyner now included in the tornado warning. So again, we will look at those updates. Groverton, Tyner, La Paz, possibly Bremen or Wyatt, you should be paying attention. But Groverton and Tyner, you are now in a likely path of the tornado, as this tracks now just north and east of Knox. Grovertown by 8:59, so top of the hour. I'm just going to say top of the hour, Grovertown, whether around Central or Eastern time, Grovertown to Tyner, Grovertown to Tyner, Tyner by 10:11 Eastern time, La Paz by 10:22. So this is moving towards the north. One thing, I know we have crews that are staging in Plymouth. They should be watched fairly closely, but we might try to get a live shot looking towards the north from the Plymouth area, as this is where that danger zone is right now. Clipping, it is hailing in Walkerton. Strong hail signature right there. But Grovertown, you are next to Tyner. Grovertown, Tyner on towards La Paz. These are the areas of concern. If you're in Walkerton, it is very loud right now. There is heavy rain and hail happening, and there's a tornado too close for comfort. If you're in Walkerton and Coomes Lake, I want you in your safe spot as well. That is just too close, as this storm sometimes jogs a little north, it jogs a little east, jogs a little north, it jogs a little east. It hasn't been a smooth progression at times. Dave, you have some information.
Yeah, so getting reports of damage north of Toto in Starke County, an observed tornado taking out a few large diameter trees in between East 200 South and East 50 South. This report coming in over the last few minutes via the National Weather Service, and that tornado still observed at this point, which is extremely concerning, because there's really not a lot in the atmosphere to stop this tornado from continuing.
And sirens are now going off in Marshall County. Marshall County is a big place, and so you're maybe asking why are sirens going off in Culver or Argus or even Plymouth, when the warning is for Grovertown and Tyner. Again, a lot of these systems, it's either yes or no. Whether a tornado warning is issued for the county, the sirens go off. Grovertown and Tyner. Also, we're likely going to start seeing or possibly hearing tornado warnings going off in St. Joseph County as well, because Walkerton is included in this. And so they are under this warning, but this is where it gets a little dodgy. Where is the exact path of this tornado? The path of this tornado is Groverton to Tyner right now. As we see, that little area right there is the area of concern. So Grovertown, Donaldson, Tyner. Grovertown, top of the hour. Donaldson at 10:04. Tyner at 10:11. Large tornado on the ground. Get to your safe spot. If you are anywhere in this view right here, if you're along this blue path, this storm track, and inside this polygon, Grovertown to Tyner, you're in your safe spot. It is no longer time to even wait. If you're in La Paz, you're on standby. If you're in Plymouth, you're on standby. And I'll say out even towards Bremen and Lakeville as well, we're watching things very, very closely. Dave.
Because this warning includes Walkerton, the sirens are going off in St. Joseph County, so might want to mention that.
So yeah, sirens going off in St. Joseph County, so it's getting a lot more attention here. The warning though, and you may not, so I hear the sirens now going off in St. Joseph County. Many weather alerts are not going to go off on your phone if you're in South Bend or Mishawaka, because those are tied to the cell network, so it's more geolocated. Your phone is blasting in Walkerton right now that there is a tornado warning, because Walkerton is under a tornado warning. The tornado warning then triggers the entire siren network of St. Joseph County. That is what's currently ongoing, but that is the tornado right there, and the path of it is Groverton, Tyner to La Paz. Yes, you are probably hearing sirens going off in St. Joseph County. That threat is just towards our south. But if you are in La Paz, Lakeville, and I'll even start moving the sound towards the Wyatt and Bremen area, I want you on standby right now as that threat continues. This is a dangerous situation. We're moving now more into more of an open, less populated area. That's the only good news we have. But if you live in Grovertown, or you live in Tyner, or you live in La Paz, this is a very dangerous situation that is ongoing. The only thing that I can say is kind of amazing here. We're down to 46 lightning strikes. This is typically a pulse check of a storm, meaning that it's starting to weaken in some regards, and I've seen reflectivity go down, meaning that the hail might be getting less. We can only hope that it's getting into some sort of weakening cycle and running out of a little bit of energy, but there's no guarantee there. If we go to the velocity, this is a good sign, Dave. This is the weakest velocity that I have seen. So while we've been reporting of a tornado, it's dark. It's hard to see. The last thing we know from a lot of visuals is there was a tornado on the ground. But if I'm doing a pulse check right now, my concern is a little bit less, but this is still something I'm watching fairly closely. Dave, do you have more to add here?
Yeah, the hail on this warning has gone down, which is also an indication that the storm might be trying to weaken, now being warned for 1.5 inches versus that 2.5, that tennis ball size hail, which this storm accompanied for a long period of time. And as we look at the velocity, you'll know if you've been with us for a while that this was a much tighter, what we call couplet, that pairing of red and green earlier on in this storm. And right now, I'm just not seeing anything that is overly concerning. And as we loop this, you can see what we're talking about. We saw that very defined debris ball just about 15 minutes ago as it moved to the north of Knox, and the tornado emergency was issued. Now, even though there is a tornado warning, that couplet is not as defined. Now, I want to caution that we are not out of the woods here, folks. We are still under a tornado warning, but this is at least an encouraging sign. The first one, frankly, that we've had in the past hour or so. But sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, when the velocity might have been going down for a scan, sometimes one or two individual scans, especially on velocity, can fool you. And so now we need to couple this with Doppler radar and also taking a storm slice in this. Generally speaking, what we're looking at here is the higher the clouds are, the stronger that storm is. So we're seeing some readings in the 30,000 foot range, and a lot of that action, though, is below 20,000 feet and even closer to the 10,000 foot level. So we want to see the lower values because that literally means the storm is collapsing and raining itself out. So the fewer readings that we see in that 30,000 foot area that's encouraging that as this moves a little bit farther north, it might be trying to tap into some of that colder air that might still be out there from when we got cold this afternoon. So hopefully we can at least tap into some of that, what we call stability, that air that doesn't allow thunderstorms to form, so that we can hopefully get this storm to weaken and eventually dissipate. But at this point, temperatures aren't really telling a good story with that. It's pretty uniform. And, actually, Tom, Benton Harbor's up to 67. So that front might have moved north. And what that might be telling us is now that the front is completely north of Michiana, it might be trying to tap into some of that colder air over Lake Michigan. And because we don't have that defined temperature difference, then that actually might try to weaken the storm a little bit because it cuts off sort of that track that it was on.
Yeah, the railroad tracks are gone, so there's kind of that area that it was following along was very strong through Starke County. This is the view from Marshall County near Plymouth. The storm, if I'm looking at it, or I could look at it, it's this way, but we're still seeing a good number of lightning strikes from this storm, and so it's a good time to update the situation that is currently ongoing. Tornado watch for a majority of the area, pretty much confined to one lone storm that has gone through a cycle that appears to be weakening at this point. This is the good news. This is kind of what we look for, or what we hope for. It has now moved through the Knox area, and as we now look over Coomes Lake in Grovertown, the area of circulation, now only one tornado warning for Grovertown, Coomes Lake, and Walkerton. This is looking more kind of broad. Also, Dave, something that it may be running into is it running into its own path or wake? It's now moving into where it's been raining. It's been moving into where it's been hailing. That's a cold core. If it was continuing more east, it's got open energy.
Sure.
But for whatever reason, if it's moving north, it's running into its own trash, if you will. It's cutting off its own fuel. We're now seeing a degradation of the warning, meaning that this is now a radar indicated tornado warning. This is a storm that has produced a tornado in its history. We know this, but at this time, at this point, the tornado signature is less. I'm going to kind of drive the bus here. I know we have crews standing by in Plymouth. Given what I'm seeing here, it is okay if those crews were to make their way towards the Knox area to get us more confirmation as we go a little bit farther in time, because this storm is now weakening and lifting towards the north. It is not moving towards the Plymouth area, at least right now. So if we back out a little bit, I know we have crews kind of standing by in Plymouth, but if they were to make their way towards Knox and take the southern route along Indiana 8, they're going to stay clear. They should not be traveling along US 6 at this time. That is still kind of the area of concern, but we know we have that crews that are currently staging, and we're trying to get more and more information.
Or US 30 either.
That's too close. Yeah, too close. Definitely do not take US 30. They need to go south, and they can make their way towards the Knox area. But anywhere along the US 6 corridor, there is still hail falling. The warning has gone down. Again, we're staying with you because this is still a very dangerous situation. And as what we learned from last Friday, tornadoes and storms go through cycles. Sometimes they're up, they're ripping, they're roaring, and then at other times they go through a little bit of a down cycle. But this is a storm that has displayed tornadic tendencies, and we're going to stay with you. And even if this warning expires, we're going to stay with this one a little bit longer than we would any other. I can tell you right now, we're staying on this one till 10:30. This is the time of our CW25 newscast. We're going to be with you at least until 10:30, bottom line, no matter what this cell does, and we'll make a judgment call from there. But I will tell everybody, here we are at 10 o'clock. This is the current situation. You may be tuning into CW25 right now. You may have been following along with us since 8:30 this evening. You may have been following along with us on Facebook with updates before that. And currently we have a tornado warning, but a different classification of a tornado warning, a radar indicated tornado warning, meaning the threat's still there. We're not going to take our eye off this storm. We don't trust it, but the actual rotation that we were looking for, the signature that was screaming there is a tornado on the ground, is no longer there. This is still a serious storm producing hail, moving towards the Walkerton or moving into the Walkerton area. This is likely, that's a very strong hail signature, and so we're going to continue to watch this very closely. I'll kind of reset things, but again, this is, again, if you look towards the Tea Garden area, this is a very nasty signature as far as the radar is concerned in through here. And so we continue to watch this very, very closely as we continue to follow this storm. If you're in Lakeville, La Paz, and North Liberty, the hail is moving in your direction. So keep that in mind as well. This is also interesting, Dave. A number of lightning strikes. As I told you, we kind of use lightning like a pulse. These are the vitals of a thunderstorm. Down to 12. It was over 200 when this storm started. So we're giving a pulse check. This storm's still beaten and it may come back to life, but these are signs that this is weakening. And this is a good thing for us. Tornado warning now canceled. Still a severe thunderstorm warning. I told you we're not going away. We're going to stay with you for the next 30 minutes as we follow along with this storm at least, because I just don't trust it on this kind of weather day. If we start dropping all the other warnings, we'll watch it very close. But we're here with you. We've made this commitment, and this is a cell that is now moving into a more populated area. We may expand out a little bit on some of our coverage here about what we're talking about, but now currently there is no longer a tornado warning in this area. That is good news. There is still a significant hail threat and is currently hailing in the Walkerton area. Walkerton, where it looks like we may have an update, they're likely contracting that warning, and there's probably questions whether North Liberty, La Paz, and Lakeville will extend into any warning at all if this continues to quote, rain itself out.
Yeah,
Dave.
The National Weather Service saying large hail and damaging winds remain likely in that area, and a severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect for that area. But the tornado threat has greatly diminished over the last few minutes. But again, the area is still under a tornado watch, they want to mention, until 2 in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah, and we'll eventually get into this, Dave, as we kind of go into, we may start tag teaming back and forth, and we're kind of watching the latest weather updates as well. I've looked at the models, and it looks like 1, 2 in the morning. We're not done with this. We might be done with this. Remember, this is round 1, and then there's round 2 that comes later, and we've got all that warm air that's a bit of a concern. But we're going to focus in on this storm until this warning is done, Dave, and then we'll start to broaden out into talking more general forecasting stuff. But right now, there is currently no active tornado warning. That's a good news. This is a look at the velocity. Remember before, when we were talking velocity, we were seeing a very bright ball close to Knox that was indicating a large tornado on the ground was observed. We are not seeing anything close to that as we look inside the storm, and this storm is now closer to the radar site. So it has at least weakened at this point. I will tell you, we have crews that are going to start to work. Brianna's in studios right now as well, and again, we're going to start to gather more information as that comes in, and as she gets it, make sure that we're kind of driving that in, and we'll be starting, and we'll be closer to be ready to take some of those news updates as we get them in. And really, things are just starting to come in. So look, they've expanded a severe thunderstorm warning. They're going to put that tag of tornado possible on it, 2-inch hail. Bremen, Coomes Lake, North Liberty, and Walkerton included in this as we watch this very, very closely. The good news is the sign of rotation is no longer there here at 10 o'clock this evening. So we're watching this all very, very closely. Big picture, I'm going to show you temperatures. It's near 70 in South Bend, and it's 43 in Chicago. And there's a front, folks, that's going to kick through, and that's going to bring some more thunderstorms after this. This is going to be a long night. I'm telling you that we're here with you on air right now, but we may take a small break, and then we got to be ready for round 2 that comes at some point after midnight, and we'll get into that more. But I first want to just kind of reset this situation. Looks like I'm going to have to reset after we've kind of done a little movement here, but I'm going to click off the camera for now because that's not giving us anything. Click over to the Notre Dame camera on that list, Dave, and start bringing that up, because we'll probably start seeing some lightning to the south from Notre Dame looking south. But this is the current situation. So a lot of people wondering what is going on. This is round 1. Pulaski, Fulton County, there's no concern for you. I would even say right now towards Warsaw and LaPorte on either sides of this. But as this tracks out, if you're in eastern St. Joseph County, if you're Mishawaka, if you're Wyatt, then if you're in Elkhart County, if you're Napanee, if you're Elkhart, and then if you're on towards the Bristol area, this is kind of moving in your direction. Now, the good news is there is no active tornado warning at this time. No active tornado warning. There are severe thunderstorm warnings, and the greatest threat is hail, and there's a possibility of wind from these storms. But this is what we're looking at. I mean, this is a large storm that is about the size of St. Joseph County. So it's a county-sized storm that's moving in and currently over the Walkerton area as we go in for this closing scan. Coomes Lake.
Tom, real quick. Sorry, I just want to update. There's a lot of concern on Facebook Live, and we are checking in with you guys with your comments. So if you have questions, be sure to leave them on Facebook Live as well. We just want to make it clear that storm has passed Knox at this point.
Yes.
So Knox in the severe weather clear, North Judson in the severe weather clear, Bass Lake, Madeiryville, all spots in Starke County in the severe weather clear for now. Even the Hanna area in the severe weather clear. The spots in that warning are now heading into the Walkerton area, Coomes Lake, Kankakee into the North Liberty area. Those would be the next areas of concern with this severe thunderstorm.
And I will say, if you are in those areas that Dave listed off that you were in the path of this tornado, that does not mean run outside. That means you're staying inside because we don't know the damage. We don't know the power lines that are down. We don't know a lot of things, and it's dark outside. So if you're safe and you're inside your home, stay there. If you know there's an immediate danger somewhere, you may need to take action. But if not, stay where you are. Let emergency crews evaluate the situation as it is, because we do know a tornado was on the ground across a good chunk of Starke County from around San Pierre to Knox. And so emergency crews are going to be evaluating along that path and seeking out any major issues there. But you do not need to be starting to drive around. You should stay inside. We look at this severe thunderstorm warning, including North Liberty. Between North Liberty and Lakeville, it's going to be very heavy rain and likely hail along this corridor here. So this is moving up towards Potato Creek State Park, down towards La Paz. This is still a hail signature, but I will tell you, as storms go, this is a good sign. This is a very good sign as far as what I would be concerned about as we go through much of tonight, because this is a lower threat situation. It could be raining itself out. If anything, this storm is stalled, and what's best about a lot of these storms, or in this case, is again, this storm has kind of moved into its own wake, and that's disturbed it a little bit. If it was continuing on towards the east, it would be an open engine and it would be taking in a lot of that warm air. But instead, it's kind of running into its own exhaust. And so it has run into its own colder air that it's produced, and it has weakened. And so that's the signature we're seeing right here. Even the reflectivity on our scale here, we were seeing a lot of pinks and purples showing up. And at this point, we're no longer seeing that. So that is the good news at this time, as this storm continues to weaken. And likely raining itself out, as you will, not seeing a tornadic signature for Walkerton, La Paz, and Lakeville. If you're watching in St. Joseph County, for a time you heard tornado warnings because Walkerton was included in that. Not all of St. Joseph County was in the tornado warning, but the siren warning system works yes or no. Is there a warning for the county? Yes, sirens sound. If there is not, they don't sound. They should no longer be sounding. But even if your own home was not under a tornado warning, you were hearing them in St. Joseph County. You were hearing them in portions of Marshall County as well. Good news for the Tyner area, for Tyner and Donaldson. The little appendage that was rotation right through here really has kind of weakened out and spudded itself out at this point. Then I continue to watch this loop. Number of lightning strikes, 40. Again, taking that pulse. 40 or so lightning strikes. If this, now 39, if this starts going back up towards 100, 150, I'm going to start watching this a little less closely. I want that number down to 0, if it can. and we'll see how this plays out. Another important thing to this is the path of this storm, Dave, and we can talk about this in a second, and I'll kind of let you chime in on this, is how does this affect round number 2? Because we'll eventually look at the temperatures and we'll see if this cools the atmosphere in some locations, but it also creates some speed bumps, and that could be a player as well.
Yeah, so a great point, Tom. So we still are expecting that widespread round 2 of severe weather that will move through during the overnight hours. So while we might be starting to try and wrap up round 1 here, that round 2 is on the way. But as we look at this storm right now, where it goes could have an impact on that round 2. And even though round 2 is likely going to affect all of us here across Michiana, if this produces some really heavy rainfall, that will temporarily cool down the air. And temperatures we showed you a few minutes ago were pretty uniform, around the upper 60s, low 70s in some spots. And so what we're looking at to see is if this rain-cooled air and, frankly, hail-cooled air can cool us down enough that it might lessen the blow of a potential round 2, which could be a potential line of strong thunderstorms that will come through overnight. However, as Tom mentioned a little earlier, the opposite side of that coin is that if this storm goes into a certain area and then stalls out, it could leave what we call outflow boundaries behind. Outflow boundaries is basically when the rain-cooled air comes out of the storm because it can't go through the ground, right? That's where things stop. So it can't go through the ground, so it pushes out of that thunderstorm. And a lot of times, as the storm is coming to an end, those outflow boundaries will appear to dissipate on radar. But sometimes they actually get left behind, and they can be players in another round of severe weather if it happens soon after that. So, example, let's say this storm just completely dissipates over the North Liberty area. There might still be some rain-cooled air that's there, and then when a potential round 2 might come, that could be just the bump that round 2 needs to create some stronger thunderstorms. It does look like the number of lightning strikes is going up here. It's okay. Sounds good.
Stay on it, but I'm going to try and bring up our model data here in just a moment. So again, here's look at that little hiccup, but this should load, and here's the latest model data coming in. I'll let you kind of go through this.
Okay, so this would be for round 2 that we're looking at. So this is midnight, and you see this line of strong thunderstorms, likely with some gusty, damaging winds on the edge of this. By 1 a.m., this cuts through the heart of Michiana, and that could produce some more damaging straight-line winds. We've been talking about tornadoes so long tonight that it really doesn't matter at the end of the day whether your wind is going like this or if it's going like this. It can still cause damage, it can still cause loss of life in certain situations. So we want to take this threat seriously, even though it might not have the glitz and the glam of a tornado warning. It still could cause major issues, and this is when a lot of folks will be sleeping at this point. So that's another complicating factor here, and why this could be so dangerous as well, as we're looking at a line of showers and thunderstorms for round 2 of this. And so we're not done with round 1 necessarily, but round 2 is on the way, likely moving through Michiana just after midnight through 1 to 2 a.m. Tom?
Yeah, I want to reset the situation. Let's take the wall full again, and I'll walk on, and we'll kind of go through this. So this is our current situation. Here we are at 10:17. We're still live on the air with you. No longer is there a tornado warning. That is good news. We do have confirmed reports of a tornado that was on the ground since Kankakee, Illinois, and has moved into portions of Starke County as well. So we're roughly at track from here along the Kankakee River right up towards the Knox area as well. And this is the current situation. There is a warning. It's now starting to rain. It's now starting to rain currently in South Bend. I can hear that rain. I'm going to go back to this. So here's the current radar picture. We have rain that's happening. The hail threat and heavier rain is across southern St. Joseph County, but at this point, we may not even see an extension of this. But I do want to take a look, and if we go back to it, this will be a loop of this. And we'll watch this play out just over the past hour. This is tracked up the Kankakee River. That was that storm, but this storm started farther back towards Kankakee, and that was a tornado that was on the ground as well. Joining us in studio now is ABC 57's Brianna Clark. And Brianna, you've been working the wires and getting information in, and you have some new information that you can finally share with us as well.
Yeah, Tom, we're actually getting a look now at that damage in Kankakee County that is up on your screen. This is in Illinois, as Tom mentioned. This is the storm that is coming through our area. So you can see some of the structures here have been just ripped from their foundations. We have a pile of debris, and some of these vehicles just damaged. Coming up here in one of these shots, you're going to see a vehicle actually pushed into a home. And in just a few minutes, we hope to have some more video for you guys. We're actually seeing video of that tornado down on the ground in Kankakee. I was just talking to Dave about it. We were trying to confirm it, make sure it's real. But we do have that video for you. But right now, you're looking at the damage that we're getting in so far. This is just a glimpse of it. And now, in San Pierre, we've got a dark sky as the storm was rolling in there. Take a look at this lightning. This was sent in by Nathan Brummel in San Pierre. Just a lot going on right now. Again, we're getting new video in from Kankakee County showing that tornado on the ground. We hope to have that for you guys in just a minute. Tom, I will send it back over to you.
Yeah, we'll kind of reset the situation as there is one warning right now. It takes some time to get video in. In fact, I'm not encouraging many folks to go out and gather video for us right now. It's too dangerous. It's dark outside. If you are safe in your home, that's exactly where I want you to be. I don't want you wandering around saying, oh, I'm going to get that amazing weather video. I don't want that. I want you safe. And as we go through the night, the other issue is there's going to be a round 2. I don't want you putting yourself at risk for round 2 when that happens. Severe thunderstorm warning for a threat for hail and the possibility of severe weather. This is the current cell and situation, and what Brianna was talking about, again, the history that we have. There is the storm as it made its way right up along the Kankakee. And Dave, I know we were kind of at 2 o'clock this afternoon, not joking, but saying, like, you know, the way this boundary was, I think this is going to drive up right up the Kankakee. And
it happened.
There it is. And again, this has been an incredibly dangerous storm as we've made its way up, and now it has weakened. This is the progression of this. I will tell you what we're also seeing is that building round 2 moving into Chicago, which is going to be very interesting because it's 40-some degrees in Chicago right now. So we'll see how this plays out. But this is the progression of this storm, and this is where we are right now. Oh, looks like we have new tornado warning.
Boy.
New tornado warning. Okay, we're back up. We told you that these storms go back through cycles. This is why we were not going to turn our back on this storm. This is radar indicated, so no one has eyes on this, but North Liberty, Lakeville, get to your safe spot now. The tornado, if there is a tornado, is going to be in this notched area right here, north of La Paz along the county line. So this would be right close to LaVille High School. This will be moving very close to LaVille High School at this time, but this is the area that we are now focused in on. A new tornado warning now coming in at 10:21. This means we cannot take our eyes off this storm. It goes through a down cycle, it goes through an up cycle. Also, Dave, it started a little bit more of an easterly movement versus north and tapped into some of that warm air.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about earlier, Tom, and that's the concerning part about this. We were seeing the lightning strikes go up ever so slightly, and while Brianna was bringing you the newest video, Tom and I were talking off camera about how the hail started to go up as well. So we talked about this a few minutes ago, where the hail goes down, the lightning goes down, then the storm severity goes down. Well, the opposite can be true as well, and that's what we're seeing right now. Looks like on Doppler radar and reflectivity here, it looks like this appendage is starting to become more defined, and so if a tornado were to be happening, it's likely to the north and west of La Paz at this point. La Paz included in that tornado. So Lakeville into La Paz, Lakeville into La Paz, along old U.S. Highway 31. get to your safe spot immediately. This storm has an incredible history of producing life-threatening tornadoes. Even though this is just radar indicated at this point, we are not taking any chances, and you shouldn't either. Get to your safe spot immediately. Seconds count in situations like this. A basement, a bathroom, a interior room without windows. You want to put as many walls in between you and the potential tornado as possible. So a basement works great. If you don't have that, a bathroom with the sort of reinforced walls there, that works as well. Any room that does not have windows, that you can put as many items or walls in between you and this potential tornado as possible. So that circulation is right near the Tea Garden area at this point in northern Marshall County. The Tea Garden area, this is north of Plymouth at this point. Bremen not included in that tornado warning at the moment, but I want Bremen on standby because we have seen a history of this storm not just heading north and east, but waffling north, then waffling a little bit farther east as well. So northern Marshall County into southern St. Joseph County, the Lakeville area along old US Highway 31. That is the area of greatest concern. Also seeing that hail core start to grow again. So this storm is starting to strengthen right before our very eyes. Tom?
Yeah, pulse check again. The storm's going up. We're staying on this view. Dave, go back and keep an eye on velocity for me on the other computer on the weather deck. But I'm not seeing much as far as velocity or anything that says something that is super serious, at least at this point. But it's starting to show that tendency of a little lobe that's dropping near the Tea Garden area, moving towards Lakeville, moving towards LaVille High School. Wyatt, you're on standby as well. Also, I can hear this here. A lot of people, your phone's going off again in St. Joseph County. The sirens are going off in St. Joseph County. Remember, sirens go off because there is a tornado warning in St. Joseph County, not because there's an actual warning for your location. Dave.
A spotter, as of 2 minutes ago, a spotter, according to the National Weather Service, reported a funnel cloud on this storm moving to St. Joseph. That is what spawned this tornado warning.
All right, so we have at least a spot of a funnel cloud. A funnel cloud does not mean a tornado's on the ground. It's good we're getting those visuals. I can say it being night makes it tough to see, but we go by other context clues. The pulse check, we're starting to see the reflectivity pickup of that hail core.
That rotation's starting to tighten a little bit as well.
So rotation starting. So if you're in Tea Garden to Lakeville, right now this is still radar indicated, but again, Lakeville by 10:37, we're at 10:25. So we're trying to give you more than about 15 minutes or so of first warning for Lakeville, between Tea Garden and Lakeville right now, and I'll expand this on to Wyatt. If you're in Wyatt, this is tracking towards the east-northeast at about 30 or so miles per hour. Dave.
The tightest velocity gradient at this point, you see that notch a little bit to the north there, Tom? It's right there.
Okay.
So it's a little bit farther north, a little bit closer to North Liberty.
So
right
a little bit closer in towards North Liberty. So again, we'll close in on that. When you see that lobe, again, this is where you kind of look for all these clues. So that right now, this is Potato Creek State Park. So right through here, this is crossing Indiana 4. So if there's Potato Creek, this is going to go on the east side of the park. If you're Indiana 4 and Oak Road, Indiana Fork and Oak Road. If you're Indiana 4 and Madison Road, here's New Road. So it's in through there that I'm going to be most concerned. If there is a possible tornado on the ground, you're in your safe spot. Looks like it's staying maybe just south of 4 right now. So if you're edging your way down 4, so we're concerned for anywhere in this area. I'm going to have to try and zoom in if we can get closer to some street views. But again, this will be closer to Madison Road eventually as we continue to cross Indiana 4 right through here. So again, here's Oak Road, Miller Road. If there's a tornado on the ground, if it's there, it's running along Quinn and Oak Road. And again, this is really eyeing in on a few pixels here or there of what would be the possible rotation. But if you're near Quinn and Oak Road, Quinn and Mulberry Road, looks like we have an extension of the severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be going out here. And if you're near 4 in Miller Road, so this is leading us in towards the Walkerton area, or assuming the Lakeville area right now. Severe thunderstorm warning expanding out for 2-inch hail and that possibility of a tornado. So everything's kind of getting updated here. No one has had eyes on a tornado in this case, but the possibility is showing up again in the radar data. And that's why we're staying with you. That's why we didn't go off on air, and we didn't take our eyes off this storm as we're watched very closely here. So I'm going to zoom out here in just a second. If there is a tornado on the ground, this is where we have less confidence than we did earlier. Earlier we had data that was just screaming there is a tornado. But if there is a tornado, it is making its way towards the 4 and Old 31 intersection. It's roughly 4 miles away from Walkerton. This is where it could possibly be. And I say possibly because we do not have confirmation on this. The latest scan just came in, but it's somewhere right through here, Quinn and Mulberry, Quinn and Millet Road, and this takes us closer and closer, but it looks like it's the Quinn and Mulberry intersection. If there is a tornado, if you are in Lakeville right now, get to your safe spot, as this is kind of tracking just like this. This is 5 minutes. 10:33, tracking a possible tornado into Lakeville. But even that possibility with a storm that has been confirming tornadoes, you are in your safe spot right now if you are in Lakeville. Sirens are going off in St. Joseph County. The area of rotation that we're concerned with is in the Lakeville area, running at this point along Indiana 4 or Quinn Road right now would be the area if there is a tornado on the ground. You may notice that my inflection's a little bit different than earlier when we had a tornado emergency for Knox. We had a confirmation that was screaming tornado on the ground. At this point, we're unsure if there's a tornado on the ground. But you know what? I'm going to take this very seriously because we've had tornadoes tonight, and this is the same storm, and it's going through now another upcycle, and then likely starting to produce, or that could produce, a tornado once again. I'll reset the situation. We'll go back to the lightning count as well, because I'm still kind of interested in how this will all play out here as we watch this fairly closely. And I'm probably going to have to back out just a little bit to get a better view of this. But we continue to watch this fairly closely as we see the number of lightning strikes with this storm, Dave. 29. So while the lightning strikes have not ticked up, this is kind of the current warning situation. And then outside of this, we have the severe thunderstorm warning that encapsulates most of eastern St. Joseph and southeastern St. Joseph County for a hail threat. If you are in Lakeville, you're in your safe spot. If you're anywhere near Lakeville right now, anywhere along Indiana 4 south towards Quinn Road and then moving towards the lake, safe spot now. A storm that has a history of producing tornadoes is now moving into Lakeville within the next 3 minutes. That is our sense of concern right now. There is likely hail on the north side, so south side of Gulliver Park. And I don't know, talk to my producer, we're going to stay on this until this tornado warning is up. We're not doing anything else except focusing on a tornado warning. We can do a lot of other things once this warning is down, but our focus for now is nothing but this tornado warning. So for the Lakeville area, you are in your safe spot right now. We have hail on the north side. Hail on the north side. This little lobe through here is that possible tornado that is tracking into Lakeville by 10:33. It's 10:31 right now. So again, if you are in Lakeville, you need to get to your safe spot. There is plenty of warm air that's out there with temperatures close to 70 degrees that this storm can still spin up or strengthen at this time. There's nothing that's going to put a pause on this too much. And so that's what we're going to watch and continue to watch as we go through much of this evening, as we watch everything still very, very closely. As we look at the velocity data, we'll drive in a little bit more, and I want to look at this a little more closely. And what you will see here is this area of kind of red and green together. It looks like the rotation may be tracking. This is the brightest spot I see here on the radar. And a little bit, this is some skill in looking at tea leaves, but it looks like it's crossing Indiana 4. So if there's a tornado, it's trending along forward to the north side of Lakeville. And it would be in here. This is Mulberry Road. So Mulberry now north or along Indiana 4. And then you can see moving towards the Osborne Road area. So if, and I say if, there is a tornado, it's in through this area right now. And so we're watching this at least fairly closely. But I would call this a broad rotation, but you can still see there's a little something as we loop this back and forth. You can still see there's just enough of a highlighted area that we're going to have a little bit of that elevated concern here.
Yeah, two things, Tom. One, this storm has continued to produce tornadoes, and that's why we're taking this seriously, even though it's not the most blinking light of a situation. And the other part of this is it's dark outside. So there might be some reported sightings of funnels. There might be clouds that appear to be something else. We're not taking any chances at this point because we have been under the gun of this tornado warning for a long time, and we're not going to stop keeping you safe now.
This is a view from the Notre Dame camera looking south, and you tell me what you can see out there, and with good evidence if the sky lights out for a moment or two. There is a tornado warning. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for eastern St. Joseph County. Nothing for Elkhart County, but I can tell you if you're in Napanee, if you're in Wakarusa, and especially the south side of Elkhart, you're kind of watching this fairly closely as we watch this storm as it has progressed over the past few hours, producing tornadoes. And this is where it is now as we'll zoom in for that closer scan. It's this little appendage right here getting very, very close to Lakeville. That is that concern, and that's why there's the tornado warning. And then on the north side of this is where we have that possibility of hail. So here's Lakeville, here's Indiana 4, and it's anywhere within this notch. I can't give you a better target than that, which is why I'm saying if you're in Lakeville, I'm not taking any chances. You're in your safe spot. You're in your safe spot right now. We do have a live camera from Wyatt right now, which I am very interested to take. This is the view. Things are still very quiet at the moment, but we can see lightning coming in. So this is the view right there. This is pointed towards the storm. So we do have the sky lighting up. I'm not seeing anything anytime that it lights up that would be a concerning dark wedge. We're often context clues. Just looking at the sky, it looks different than earlier when we were looking, Dave, at the Marshall County RMC camera. We saw that sprawling